Welcome to this tutorial on your Tech Cadet Onboard workbook or training workbook. So this is made especially for the UCMETC student to let them orient themselves using that video. To continue, this training record book or workbook is used as an assignment uh, requirements of the cadets that it is structured questions on every section and every function of the training record book are made in order to prove that the cadets really have their training on board. So there are several sections that is directly related to the requirements or the task on the training record book. So the TRB Workbook, as we shortcut a name for it, TRB Workbook, is composed of different sections, so different pages. So the first important page is the cadet information, which divided into three boxes. The first box is the personal information of the cadet. And next is the school information of the cadet, the number of the training record book issued, the TRB journal number, the SIRB number, passport number, school ID, date the cadet was recognized, batch, year, and name of the batch. So below are what we call data on every ship that he will be on board for the training. As it is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 until 6 to directly with the same framework used on the training record book. So it has several columns: the vessel's name, flag, gross tonnage, and the company and agency, sign on, sign off, and name of the master. So in every vessel, you will be on board. So that's the first page of your training record book or training workbook. So the next page is the instruction. So you read the instruction. It's very important because the workbook will prove on every task you have done on the training record book. And it is also registered or recorded on your journal. So the training record book has the task on every competency, on every function. The training workbook will have the output of your what we call compliance of the requirements on the training record book. So the journal will be used for recording the events, activities that is not what's keeping, and the activities which is what's keeping. But the outputs is on the training workbook. Every competency has an output. It's either a written exam or written assignment or practical assignment. A comparison between the procedures, standard procedures, and the procedures on board, or I'll be drawing or C projects. So every competency has his output. So you must complete the training workbook outputs. Depends upon the task that you completed and graded as competent on your training record book. So I will repeat. The training record book has the task on every competency, on every function, and training workbook has the output. The purpose of the journal is to document, is to write a story, how the task was done, when it was done, and when the output is completed in a training workbook. It's very important that the three books must in line with each other, especially dates. So let's go to the next page. This is the table of contents. Just like in any books, there are table of contents. As you can see, there are C1, this is competency, section 3, section 4. Okay, so in every competency there is also C projects on the table of contents. So the next page is now the functions, navigation at the operational level. So in the navigation operational level function, there are several outputs already. So the outputs is carefully structured based on the competency on your or task on your training record book. So by doing the assignment on the workbook, you can comply your task on your training record book. So you have a documented record of your task completed on your training record book. So as you can see, there is what we call objectives of each assignment. It is sort of assignment, but this is an objective. For example, after completion of this activity, you will be able to transfer at least 2 passage plan data information from your ship's actual voyage using the student credit passage planning forms included on this training workbook. So the assignment is structured based on your requirements or your task on your training record book. So there is already an instruction also how to do it, and there is an output of the student. This is your output of your assignment. It must be completed on your training workbook. Okay. So the next is another competency to maintain a safe navigational ones. There is also an activity, very standard procedures. There are objectives, there is instructions, and there is an answer area which you write your answer. So in competency 3, you read ARPA, there is an objectives, there is an instruction how to do it, and there is a place for your answer. 4 will be the same. There is an instruction, there is an output standard, there is a place for the answer. And all the competencies on section, on the function navigation operational level has the 9 competency. There is an assignment. So if you complete your whatever task you completed, whatever competency you are what we call rated as competent, there is an equivalent output. You should do the output because your training record book will not be valid unless you complete your assignment on its competency of its function. So, next is the section of function, seamanship, or cargo handling and stowage at the operational level. The same as the previous function, there is also what we call an assignment, a task that will jive on your training record book. So there is the TRB, the activity will be a written report. Competency 10. Monitor the loading, stowage, securing, care of during the cargo. So there is an output standard, meaning the output should be like this. So after the completion, basically you will be able to outline the procedures or measures that are implemented on board your vessel to ensure monitoring of loading and stowage, securing and care of cargo during voyage. Write a brief description of its procedures. So write the procedures, then make a brief description. So instruction, how will you do it? Read your SMS, write your answer in the space provided below, then pictures of the activity, drills, and other information be included as an answer. So this then the another written report. If you have more space, so there is another space for this report. Okay, so the next one is for function controlling the operation of the ship and care for person for assignments. So just the previous, there is a structured assignment. Okay. So first, written report. Oh, this is the activity. A written report. This is the output. Output standard. After completion of the activity, you will be able to outline the proactive measures that is implemented on board your vessel to ensure protection of the environment. Write a brief description of its proactive measures. So the same. Pictures, evidence, answer below. So the next assignment is a written report. Again, describe the practical application, how to maintain the seaworthiness of the ship based on your experience and based on your SMS manual. So another report, there is an instruction also. Outline the procedure or measures on board used to prevent control of fires on board. What are the procedures? And description of each activity. The same instruction. The same, there is a space for the answer. So these are assignment dedicated to comply with your task on your training record book. So more, and the last company said 20. No, it's a written report. Application of leadership team. So outline the procedures, measures on board that will ensure leadership and training working skills will be a culture on board. How? What are the procedures? So and that's the last month competency. And okay. So now let's go back to the uh, area. So at far from the regular functions, competencies, there are also contains the C project. The C project that is required on your training record book. So in this workbook, there is already a place to make your C project, to draw, to write. So let's see what are the outputs of your C project. So the first based on the C project outputs is an output standard. Okay, there is an output standard, the same as what is required on your training record book. So there is also instruction how to do it. So this is a sample of your page for C project. There is already a dedicated page on your project. Dedicated page on your workbook where to write or draw a certain project. So just write when the date started, date completed, signature of your training officer, and this is the project code, which is also be used on your monthly progress report on section 3 of your journal. So another project, this one, if you can see it is divided into two, that means it is an essay. Okay, if it's an essay, it must be not less than 500 words. Not less than 500 words. So this one is also an essay. But if it is solid diagram, it is like this one. It is a sketch. Okay? So, and there is also a bridge procedure checklist. In this bridge procedure checklist, let's check what are the requirements. The requirements are this one. There is a procedure that is given to you for your reference. Okay? Then, on your SMS, on the bridge, check the procedure. For example, preparation for sea familiarization checklist. There is also one on board, but it is tailored to the company. Tailored for the company, for a certain ship. What will you do is to you compare if, because this is standard, you compare if what's the difference, okay? And to prove that you compare, write it on a separate paper. What's the difference? If it's the same, it's the same. What's the difference? What have you learned? What is the use? And then let your officer check your work, check your what we call outputs, and let him check and let him sign here. Remember, only weekly. So another procedure. It is a standard checklist for your reference, but there is also a dedicated checklist that is made tailored for a certain vessel, and that's your assignment to read it and compare between the two. More procedure, more procedure, more checklist. And each of these checklist has the vessel's form also. So you must check, differentiate, make an output, and then let the officer, after checking, let the officer or the master evaluate your output. Ask him, please, this is my assignment. So and let him sign on the TRB Workbook. More. So that's the bridge procedure checklist. So the last area is the emergency procedure. It is only a guide. It's only a guide for you, since if you are asked, so you must study this one. If you are asked what is the emergency procedure for something, so you have a copy already. So let's check what is it. So there is an emergency procedure for action to be carried out during emergency procedure. No? Action to be carried out, then broadcast distress alert, this alert procedure, emergency procedure checklist. What is the emergency? This is one. And there is also another one, another set of instruction, emergency procedure that is made, tailored for a certain ship. You must find that in your SMS and compare, and the same as the previous section, you will write an output. If you can do that, then you have no problem with your workbook, with your training record book. Even this is the evidence that you made your assignment, you made your task on board by completing this assignment. So, guidance in case of abandoned ship, do you know? So there is a guide. This is your notes. This is your reference. So guys, in case of collision, what will you do? This is all guides. No? Guys, in case of fire, what will you do? In case of flooding, in case of main engine steering failure, what will you do? So, guidance on man overboard, what will you do? Okay. So, and we include also a boarding arrangement for pilot. How you will prepare the pilot ladder. So after that, if you completed this one, then you know how to use your. This is the way how to use your workbook. I will repeat. The workbook is your output on every requirement, task, competency, function on your training record book. The journal is a record on what transpired when you follow the task. When you do the task, when the task is done, it is on the journal. And what is your output? It is in the workbook. So, lastly, the training record book is for reference. What are the tasks? What are the structured tasks you must do? The journal is how did you do it? What, when, where? The training workbook is the output of every competency in your training record book. So that's the purpose. These three books are aligned. structured by your school. So I hope you get something or you master. If not, then repeat the video until you understand. If you have any questions, go to www.shipboardtraining.com, and in the Facebook comment, you ask question, and we'll make it sure that you will understand. If you need something, you, what we call us, message us, email us. You have all the contacts on your journal. So until here, this is Shipboard Training Officer. Say thank you for watching.